In a high-stakes power play thousands of miles from home, a South African political scion finds herself caught in the crossfire of mercenary recruitment in war-torn Donbas. Welcome to Mzansi PoliScope, where we cut through the noise and unpack the real political stories shaping South Africa and its global connections. Today we dive into a saga that spans continents. Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla, allegedly recruiting fighters for war in eastern Ukraine, now firing back with countercharges against a rival recruiter she claims betrayed her. It's a story of ambition, desperation, and power. And if you think this is just about guns and geography, think again. This is about political clout, legacy, and the lengths some are willing to go to influence global conflict. To understand what's happening, we need to rewind. The war in Donbas, a region in eastern Ukraine, has drawn in foreign fighters since 2014, when conflict broke out between Ukrainian forces and pro-Russian separatists. Over time, various private military contractors and recruiters emerged, some state-backed, some shadowy, many exploiting vulnerable populations to bolster fighting ranks. Enter Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla, a name known in South African political circles thanks to her family ties. She is closely connected to the former president, Jacob Zuma. But this isn't just about nepotism, it's about ambition. According to unverified reports circulating in political forums and social media, she allegedly became involved in recruiting South African men to fight in the Donbas region, promising competitive pay, travel, and adventure. Whether or not all these men signed up and a full knowledge of the risks is part of the controversy. South Africa's foreign policy stance is complicated here. Officially, Pretoria has not endorsed sending troops to Ukraine, but individual actors with political capital, especially those with strong connections, can sometimes operate in gray zones. That's where the tension builds. Now, tensions have escalated. Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla has come forward with countercharges. She claims a rival recruiter defrauded her, mismanaged funds, and betrayed recruits. She alleges that this person sabotaged her network, leaving her reputation and possibly her finances in tatters. Let's break down exactly what's going on, step by step, and why this matters for South African politics. 1. The recruitment operation. According to the narrative forming around her, Zuma-Sambudla established a recruitment network with contacts in Eastern Europe. She tapped into her political connections in South Africa to identify individuals, many of them unemployed or disillusioned, who might be tempted by the promise of decent pay even in a conflict zone. She allegedly offered transit, training, and deployment using local fixers in Ukraine and Russia-aligned territories. 2. The rival recruiter. Enter the alleged co-conspirator, a more established recruiter who already had boots on the ground in Donbas. This person, according to Zuma-Sambudla, reneged on key promises. She claims he misrepresented payment terms, diverted money, and failed to deliver on promised logistics. In her version of events, she was forced to bail out recruits stranded in war zones, pay extra for transport, and cover debts she never signed up for, all while her reputation was on the line. 3. Countercharges and allegations. In response, Zuma-Sambudla has leveled a range of countercharges: fraud, mismanagement of funds, breach of contract, even exploitation of her own network. She says she's been left in a precarious financial position, and worse, her political name may be tainted. She's demanding compensation, a public admission of wrongdoing, and, most importantly, control over her recruitment operation. 4. Stakes and motivations. Why would someone like her take such a risk? For one, political capital. Successfully running a recruitment network in a war-torn foreign region would give her enormous leverage, financial gain, influence in international circles, and possibly deeper ties with powerful actors in the region. But the risk is enormous: reputational damage, legal exposure, and even national security scrutiny. On the other side, the rival recruiter could just be another entrepreneur or a more dangerous operator with his own agenda. If Zuma-Sambudla's allegations are true, she's been betrayed by someone she trusted, someone ready to gamble with other people's lives for his own gain. Legal and ethical quandaries. There are serious legal questions here. Is this recruitment even legal under South African law? What about the laws in Ukraine and Russia-aligned territories? Is she violating South Africa's foreign policy by facilitating recruitment into a foreign conflict? Ethically, it's murkier still. Are the recruits being fully informed of the risks? Are they being used as cannon fodder? Or is this a mutually beneficial, if dangerous, opportunity? Media and political fallout. The story has already begun to ripple through both South African media and international political observers. Rumors, unverified leaks, and partisan spin are flying. Some see this as a classic power play by the Zuma political network, leveraging war for personal and political gain. Others worry it could tarnish South Africa's diplomatic standing, especially if the government is seen to be indirectly supporting individuals sending people into the Donbas war. How have South Africans responded, and what does this mean for the big political players? At home, reactions are mixed. On social media, critics of the Zuma family are seizing on the story as a symbol of political corruption and recklessness. Many ordinary citizens are shocked. Recruiting for an active war zone, they ask, is this patriotism or profiteering? Meanwhile, supporters of Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla and her broader political network are rallying to her defense. They argue that she's being unfairly attacked, possibly framed by rivals who fear her influence. Some suggest this is yet another politically motivated smear campaign aimed at weakening a power base that already unsettles many in the South African establishment. On the political front, major parties are watching closely. The ANC, once deeply connected to the Zuma legacy, may feel pressure, especially if the scandal escalates into legal or diplomatic trouble. Opposition parties are likely preparing to weaponize the issue in campaign rhetoric, raising questions about corruption, foreign policy recklessness, and lack of accountability. Internationally, observers are also concerned. If it's verified that South Africans are being recruited into the Donbas conflict through political networks, this could raise red flags for both Ukrainian and Russian-aligned forces, and potentially for the governments of countries harboring those networks. So, where might this go next, and why does it matter for South Africa? Firstly, there's a real risk of legal fallout. If Zuma-Sambudla's operation and her rivals are deemed illegal under national or international law, she could face serious charges, and that would be politically catastrophic. Even if she avoids criminal prosecution, the reputational damage alone could diminish her influence in key political circles. Secondly, this story could reshape how South Africa views its role in global conflict. If private recruitment networks tied to politicians are allowed to flourish, it raises uncomfortable questions about accountability, oversight, and foreign policy credibility. Voters may demand more transparency, especially if this becomes a recurring pattern with other politically connected actors. Thirdly, there is the human cost. The recruits themselves, many likely young, hopeful, or desperate, may end up paying the ultimate price if they were led into a conflict zone based on false promises. Fourthly, for Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla personally, this moment is make or break. If she successfully wins her counterclaim and restores her network's credibility, she could emerge as a powerful political broker, not just in South Africa, but in international quasi-military circles. But if she falters, the blowback could not only derail her ambitions, it could also become a cautionary tale about political misadventure abroad. Thank you for tuning in to Mzansi PoliScope. This story about ambition, recruitment, and power in a war far from home shows just how interconnected South Africa's politics can be with global conflict. If you found this analysis helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so we can keep unpacking stories that matter. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Duduzile Zuma is a visionary or a risky opportunist? Let's talk. Until next time, stay informed, stay skeptical, and stay engaged.